You're listening to the DC Comics Chronicles, where we cover every adventure from the streets of Gotham to the skies of Metropolis and into the depths of Atlantis. With your hosts, Adam and the Emerald Enthusiast.
As always, I'm your host, Adam, and with me is the Emerald Enthusiast himself, but not kryptonite-colored enthusiast, the Emerald Enthusiast, Donnie. Donnie, how's it going?
Hey, what's up, Superman fans? It's the man whose ring runs on fanboy energy, the podcasting machine, the big nerd in green. It's the Emerald Enthusiast, here to talk to you about Superman and Lois and Naomi.
Now, Donnie, I was trying to figure out, okay, who in the Superman universe could I equate, Donnie to?
So do
I don't want to call you Lex Luthor because I know you share a similar hairstyle, but you're much nicer than Lex Luthor, so I didn't want to go there. So because he was the Green Lantern, wasn't he?
Yes, he was a Daxamite, so he was
descended
from the
so there we go.
Kryptonians,
We'll go with that. We'll keep it in the realm of the Green Lanterns, which I know you are inclined to do. But yes, Superman and Lois has premiered its second season, and Naomi has debuted its pilot episode.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to talk to you about all of that. But Donnie, I want to. There is some brief news in terms of the CW Arrowverse or DC CW verse, however you want to call it.
Yes.
That I think bears some discussion, and that is that there are two shows that, since we've last did a kind of a recap on the DC CW shows, that have been sort of announced as being in development.
Yes.
One of them is Gotham Knights, which will see as the description kind of reads, the adopted son of Batman.
Okay.
Form a team that's comprised of the children of villains in Gotham to basically figure out who, because Batman is dead.
Okay.
In this universe.
Okay.
And they have to figure out a new way of protecting Gotham City without a Batman. So it's an interesting premise, just from the log line. It's a lot of the creative team from Batwoman is involved, but based on the description, it doesn't seem like it's connected to Batwoman.
Okay.
Like it's not a direct spin-off of Batwoman per se. What are your general thoughts on that? Like a different kind of Gotham Knights team, and which adopted son of Batman? I mean, Damian is not adopted, so that either leaves Tim Drake, Dick Grayson, or Jason Todd.
I would think they'd go with Tim Drake. Sounds like the most likely, but I don't know who they would go with. Yeah.
But then again, I could see Jason teaming up with the children of the villains of Gotham.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm very curious to track that as it develops, who they cast, who these characters are. I was intrigued by the premise, so I think it's intriguing. It's a different riff on the concept, so because usually the Gotham Knights are comprised of Batgirl, Red Hood, Nightwing, Robin being Tim Drake. That's typically the Gotham Knights. I mean, if it does develop and it makes it to our screen, I'll definitely be tuning in and checking it out, and we'll cover it here as we usually do with the Arrowverse. The other Arrowverse related show that was just announced as of yesterday, as of this recording, is going to be headed by none other than David Ramsey, who played John Diggle, and the series is titled Justice You, and it's going to see him recruiting 5 young metahumans who are going to go undercover as college students, while John Diggle trains them to be the next era of, I guess, for lack of a better phrasing, the Justice League. So, what do you think about that?
Well, I have mixed feelings.
Mhm.
First, the positive. I think it could be good. I think he's a great actor. I'm
Yes.
always down to see him in more. I like the idea of, another superhero team. However, I'm going to be disappointed if they bring him back and he's not Green Lantern.
I understand that.
Yeah. And so this doesn't sound like a Green Lantern type show unless he's doing this on the side. And so I was like, okay, so have they changed directions for him now? Will he no longer be some version of John Stewart? So I don't know. I never rule out a show before I actually watch it.
Of course, yeah. I mean, that's the logical
Yeah.
thing to do.
Exactly. Yes. So
I mean, like I said, the concept I'm intrigued by. I'm not sure where they're going in terms of the Green Lantern of it all. But I'm thinking that they won't do the Green Lantern only because of the show, the HBO Max show, and that DC / Warner Brothers doesn't want to have that competing, essentially competing Green Lantern ideas at the same.
Sure.
Like in the same, what's it called? The same realm, like both being on a form of television. You know what I mean?
Yes.
I know one is streaming and one is the CW, but you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I think they may be shying away from him going full-fledged Green Lantern. That's just my assumption. I don't know anything. I don't have any inside information. But that's my thinking on it. Either way, like I said, the concept in its own right is interesting. David Ramsey is fantastic in the John Diggle role.
Yes.
If this goes forward, I'll do the same thing we're going to do with Gotham Knights. We'll watch it, we'll give it a shot, we'll review it, and we'll carry forward. Sure. But intriguing things seemingly coming to the CW DC universe, affectionately known as the Arrowverse.
Yes.
So we'll keep you apprised of all that information. While we wait for more information on that stuff, we do have new shows to talk about. So since Naomi was the brand new one, why don't we start with the fresh-faced newcomer first?
Yes. Okay. So the show Naomi. Naomi McDuffie, the main character, she's actually named after Dwayne McDuffie, the famed writer and co-founder of Milestone. And I can't think of a character who has been introduced into live action this quickly after that character was introduced in the comics.
I don't recall that ever happening this soon. Yeah.
It's only been 2 years. I think Spawn was introduced about 5 years after that character was introduced, the first issue. But I can't remember a character ever being fast-tracked for 2 years. So that tells me that the CW has some confidence in this character.
Yeah.
So just a little background on who Naomi is. She's kind of a bookish Superman fan, but she's not a loner. She has friends, including her ex-boyfriend, Nathan. And we see that here. By the way, the first episode relied very heavily on the comics. I actually have the hardcover here somewhere. Read the first 6 issues, and I really do like this character. I think she's very interesting. And I like the fact that they didn't try to immediately start off with something new. if people watch this and they're interested in Naomi, they can go to the comics and
Right.
see a very similar character reflected there.
Right. I mean, eventually, I'd assumed that it'll deviate because, like, there's only one volume of comics to work from. So
Yes.
at some point, it's going to deviate. But for right now, it's pretty. From what I remember, it's pretty close to the original source. So, and that's another thing. We will at some point sit down and review the comic, the first volume. And where will we do that, Donnie? When we do it?
We will do that on the DC Comics Chronicles, available right here on YouTube. That's the DC Comics Chronicles. You can also catch that on iTunes and Podbean.
You're on the ball with that. You responded right away with that shameless plug. So well done. All right, so take us through a little bit of the show.
So Naomi receives a message about something happening involving Superman in the main square of town. She hurries out and catches a glimpse of this, runs out of class and catches a glimpse of this whole happening. Again, very similar to the comics. As she's looking at the playback, the video, she recognizes a character named D, who is a guy who owns a tattoo shop. He's kind of reclusive. Nobody knows a lot about him. And he is also watching Superman in this video. And she recognizes him, and she seems to recognize a little bit of something's amiss between the way that the two of them are kind of looking at one another in this.
Right.
And so she goes to his shop, and he recognizes her. And he is obviously being elusive about what he knows. He immediately calls attention to the fact, he goes, "Oh, you wear glasses," as if he is shocked by the fact that she's wearing glasses.
Yeah, there was a shock reaction there. Yeah.
So he just kind of assumes she wouldn't be. And so we're left to, if you don't know the character here, if you haven't read the comics, they kind of leave you to guess whether this guy's a villain or is just this somebody who just has some knowledge and he's not really a villain.
Yeah.
So what were your thoughts on D and the way he was portrayed?
Well, he was very, like I said, very mysterious. He knew a little too much about Naomi to just be, random, random member of the community that's a little too nosy for his own good. Like, it was too specific of information for him to know, to not be, to know more than he's saying.
Mm-hmm.
I'm very intrigued by where they're going to take that once more reveals take place. I just want to speak real quickly to the idea of Naomi being a Superman fan. I love that aspect of it.
Mm-hmm.
Because it allows me to relate to the character. Like, I'm also a Superman fan. When her phone would ring, you'd hear the starting of the Superman, the John Williams theme, and it just so happens that that's my ringtone as well. So for the first time I heard it, I looked at my phone, but like, wait, who's called? And it's like, no, it's her phone. Okay, never mind. I like that she has her own Superman site. That's really cool.
Yes.
Now they got to be very careful with the Superman fandom of Naomi, because I hope she doesn't devolve into somebody who incessantly hashtags on social media. That a certain actor is Superman or anything like that. We don't need her to devolve into that kind of fan. So
right.
keep it tame. Let's keep it on the level and not go to in insane proportions. But on the surface, I like that she's a Superman fan. But I just what really sort of I found fascinating about the show was that I'm for the longest time, until there was a little bit of a reveal near the end, for the longest time you don't know how this world went from a world with Superman being a comic book character to Superman is actually a living, breathing being in the universe.
Oh, okay. I don't, and maybe I'm just misremembering because it's been a while since I read it. Did she actually read Superman comics in the comic? Was there a kind of a meta aspect?
Well,
there
are Superman comics. They were at the comic store leafing through.
Okay.
A long box trying to.
All right. I always assumed that like the comics, that like the actual Superman in the world came first, and the comics were therefore based on him.
No. The way the show presents it is that, because remember at the beginning, she's at that party.
Mm-hmm.
And she's talking to the guy that she used to date about Superman.
Yeah.
He's like, but he's not real, right? So, and that's why they're all shocked when they see, the Superman battling the villain. They think it's a movie stunt or something.
Oh, okay, yeah,
And
yeah.
so,
And now that aspect is played up. We hear that
yeah.
that people think that it's it's some kind of like elaborate setup.
So in the context of the show, like I know how it worked in the comics, how she went from a world where these characters were fictional to the DC universe where they're real. But how did it? I'll be interested to see how the show plays with that aspect. So that's
That'll be
something I'm looking
interesting.
at.
I mean, there is a precedent with DC Comics going back a long way. Barry Allen originally read about Jay Garrick in the comics.
Yeah.
So
that Barry Allen does causes a lot of chaos.
Right. But so that is an aspect of the DC Comics world and the various adaptations is you have characters reading about other characters in other universes. So
yeah, it's that's going to be very interesting to see how they handle that aspect of it all. And then look, there are some that we're really wanting to see in terms of like Superman, full stop, his face, and the whole thing. Like they wanted an actor physically interacting with the main characters present. But to that I say, I don't need that just yet. Maybe down the line. But right now, this is about Naomi, and the focus should be on her character. Like let us get invested fully in her character before bringing Superman in. Full stop.
Oh no, I would agree. When you bring in a character like Superman, he kind of takes the focus off of everyone else, unless you're talking about
as he should, because he's Superman.
Right. And you don't want that here because you want to establish Naomi as the tent pole of this show. She's the titular character.
Yeah,
so
I mean that could come later down the line, and I'd be more than welcome to see a Superman. Mm-hmm. We do know that from the lead actress that she was talking about, because she's been doing the interview circuit, and
Casey Wafall. Yes, that's her name.
And I make you do the names, as we know. That's.
I was just getting ready to ask you: is it Wallfall? That's how you say her name?
That's how I say it, but I don't know if that's right. So if she, if she ever wants to come on the show and correct me,
by all means, yeah, she did a great job.
She did. She was very, very engaging. But because I saw a lot of the speculation of who could that be? Is it Tyler Hoechlin? And she confirmed that it was not Tyler Hoechlin. Like their Superman is not Tyler Hoechlin. But she says she's excited for the audience to meet their Superman down the road.
Right. And if I remember correctly, okay, so they haven't confirmed in the comics exactly what world she is from, have they? Or have they done that like in Future State or something?
Recently, I think they've said she's from an alternate, like they've said which Earth she's from, but they haven't in the context of the show.
Okay.
She's all we know is that she's currently not on the world that the Arrowverse takes place. So Tyler Hoechlin Superman is not her Superman.
Okay.
I did notice that, in the footage, and especially in the video footage, you could see a little bit of him wearing the trunks.
Oh, okay.
This Superman wears the trunks. So maybe this is, and again,
I know where you're going.
whoever the Superman they pick is, whoever they put in the role, I'll be fine with. I'm not going to hashtag, Christopher Reeve, CGI Christopher Reeve is my Superman, or Henry Cavill is my Superman, or any of that nonsense.
I know who you want, though.
But if it was up to me, and I was running the show at the CW or Warner Brothers, I'd pick Brandon Routh.
I knew exactly what you were going to say.
But again, I'm not going to hashtag it because I think that BS is ridiculous. The studio is going to do what the studio is going to do. They don't care how many times I hashtag something.
Yeah.
So, it is what it is. But I noticed that he was wearing the trunks, and I'm like, ooh, there's an opportunity for Brandon here.
Yeah, there you go. So back to the show here. After fainting at a big debate, she notices that her vision is actually better when she takes her glasses off. She has some kind of like telescopic vision,
Oh,
and she's able to see a slip of paper from a long distance away, and
yeah.
she reads what it says, and it says that there's some evidence of Superman in a forest nearby.
Oh, I thought it said restore the Snyderverse, but I guess not. Anyway.
Oh, that was at the bottom in the corner. Yeah.
Oh, okay. It was the bed. She couldn't see that far. Okay, it was very, very minuscule. I got it. I got you.
So after the debate, she heads off alone to investigate.
Uh-huh.
And as she is in the forest, she runs into a man named Zombato, who is just kind of happening through the forest on a hike.
Yeah, that's not creepy at all.
No, not at all. He just happens to turn up. And he doesn't really look like he's on a hike, but
no, he's not dressed for a hike. That's for sure.
Yeah, exactly. So, and I think, doesn't she even point it out? She was like, you don't look like you're hiking. So it actually becomes pretty clear to her, I think, that she feels threatened, that he's following her. And he demands that she hand over this mysterious disc that she's found on the floor.
Mm-hmm.
And we also...
and it had all kinds of markings on it, and it looked very, very alien in nature.
Mm-hmm. And we also kind of see the first, on the show, that is, the first, well, I guess you would technically say the second, because she, the vision thing, but the manifestation of her powers here. Mm. She has some kind of energy within her, and that starts to kind of expel, and you see the gathering of this power around her, and the leaves kind of swirl around
levitating.
Her. Yes.
So basically, if the Leafs start having a meltdown during the season, can she lift them up and make them play better? Because
that would be great.
If that's the case, we need to get her on this earth. That's all I'm saying.
Maybe we could have her play goalie at some point.
Yeah. Our goaltending is not the problem.
Yeah. Superman actually did that in one of the early comics. He thought that there was a football game, like a college football game, being rigged, and so he actually drugged a player and took his place.
That's not very Superman-like.
Those early Golden Age comics, you just never know what happens in some of those.
It's crazy.
Yeah, he actually decided too that there were some models of cars that were too dangerous, so he went and smashed his car lot because he didn't want them sold. So he was a bit arrogant back in the 30s. So yeah,
man. I think I know which version of Superman a certain director likes.
Yeah, exactly. So, and it's funny, Zombato seems to know Naomi here too, and know about the fact that she's a metahuman, because he encouraged. Yeah,
the difference is between him and the other guy is that what is Zombato his name? These names
Zombato, yes,
going to take a while, but he exudes villain. There's no mistaking. Yep. This guy is no good.
Yeah, he's got the creeper vibe.
Yeah.
So later on in the show, we see that night, Naomi gathers a group of her friends, and as a group, they break into Zombato's dealership. And they find this newspaper headline about something flying overhead back in 2004, and it's actually on Naomi's birthday. And so again, things are getting more and more mysterious as the narrative goes on here. So now later on that night, Zombato returns, and of course the kids scamper around, and they're trying to get out without being noticed. And Naomi returns to see Dee, who admits that the Superman thing wasn't actually his doing. And he does have special powers, and we see that he spreads the wings that are in his back, and we obviously see that, and at least the implication here is Zombato is a metahuman. We'll learn more about him. Obviously, Naomi is, and Dee is as well.
Now, again, it's been a while since I read Volume 1. Could he be a Thanagarian?
I'm pretty sure he actually is Thanagarian. Let me confirm that, because let me look that up, because it's been a while since I read that as well.
Because I'm like, who? Hawkman.
Yeah.
Even though that's what I did when I saw it.
Yeah. So anyway, what were your impressions when she goes back and that interchange there?
I actually like everything when you said she finds that news clipping, from her birthday and all that.
Mm-hmm.
This show had a vibe, and tell me if you see this too, Donnie.
Okay.
It was like a mix of the early years of Smallville, like the first 2 or 3 seasons, mixed with the X-Files. Did you get that vibe? Because I did.
Oh yeah, that's a good way to put it.
And I loved it. Like I was so intrigued and invested in this show. And when he did the reveal, when she went back, I'm like, well, of course you're involved in all that. Like it's, like they there was no real misdirection. You could tell when she confronted him the first time that he knew more than he was letting on.
Yes, he actually is Thanagarian. Yes.
Okay, cool.
Mm-hmm. I was pretty sure I remembered that from the show. He's enormous in the comics, by the way.
Well, yeah.
I mean, they got a big. I mean, there's no way for them to like get. I mean, they would have to be somebody like the size of Omos to actually be.
Or CGI or something. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So that would have been cool though, Omos on this show.
Well, I mean, hey, listen.
Anything's possible.
Anybody can try wrestling, apparently. Why not try acting too?
Yeah. So anyway, and as the show ends, Naomi, she's looking at Dee and she's realizing, I think, the gravity of this, the scope of all this, and she's like, who am I? You've got to know more than you're letting on.
And I like it because it's like, so some of her powers are similar to Superman, the vision.
Mm-hmm.
She wears the glasses. So there are similarities. So it's like, in her head, she's like, well, if the Superman thing isn't a hoax, am I Kryptonian? Like, being a Superman fan, her head, I would think, would naturally go there, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's going to be interesting to watch. Like I said, it's going to be very fascinating to watch it all unfold. I'm hooked.
Oh, likewise. Like I said, I have the hardcover somewhere, and I read it, and I was like, it's another new interesting character.
Yeah.
I believe she's going by the name Powerhouse now.
Is she? Okay.
Oh, yeah. And
not to be confused with my personal non-favorite Butterball.
But
no, Donnie, that's what I was going to tell you. Remember the show Justice You we were talking about?
Yes.
I want Butterball on this team. Hashtag bring on Butterball.
For those of you who've never watched before, he's talking about Roundhouse.
Yeah. I'm going to start that hashtag, bring on Butterball.
Butterball.
See if we can get that trending.
Yeah. Oh, so do we rate the show? Letter grade or whatever?
Let's do a letter grade. Go for it. What did you give Naomi?
Yeah, I'm gonna give it an A. I thought the acting was excellent.
There was an axe in the show.
Yeah, there was an axe.
Was it a Thanagarian axe?
I was going to say, from Thanagar, we might see multiple weapons, but I think this was an A. The way that they adapted people, and again, the CW is working with a limited budget here. Yeah. So far, what they've done is they introduced Naomi with the same flavor from the comics. So
yeah, it's a solid A from me as well. I was intrigued the whole time. I want to know more. They definitely have me coming back for more. So the pilot did its job, and got to support a fellow Superman and fan. So Naomi's a Superman fan, so I'm going to be checking out this show some more.
Right. Yeah, can't wait till next week.
Indeed. All right, let's move on to Superman and Lois, Season 2, Episode 1. So Donnie, catch us up. What's going on with Superman and family?
This episode takes place 3 months after the events of Season 1. And we see, again, they catch us up a little bit here. Natalie came into their world and kind of put a shock into Lois because, again, she calls her mother because she looks exactly like her mother, because her mother was a version of Lois Lane. And that has caused a lot of friction between Clark and the boys because Lois has been so rattled by this. And she also seems to be having trouble at work. Her focus is kind of split. And she and Chrissy at the Gazette, they're having, disagreements over who they bring on board to help them at the paper.
Sure.
So we also see that Sarah has returned from camp And Jordan is as excited as a dog getting dinner to see her. And something's up with her, though.
Yeah.
So what's your theory on that? Because I can give you my theory.
My instant theory is she met somebody at camp.
Exactly. That's my theory, too.
And look, if she's anything like her mother was on the show Smallville, sorry, Jordan, you shit her luck, buddy.
So the thing is, Jordan makes a bunch of gestures to try to, rekindle the romance, and she gets like less and less interested. And when he takes her out to the bridge, she seems extremely uncomfortable. So, yeah, my guess is there's another person involved here.
I don't think that relationship is going to last too long. Unfortunately for Jordan. I will say, just to talk to you about what you said earlier with Naomi.
Natalie?
Thank you.
Yeah.
Natalie, having that reaction when she first sees Lois. And then up until a certain point in the episode, we hear that she's keeping her distance from Lois.
Mm-hmm.
That is completely understandable. I mean, imagine you see somebody that looks identical to your mother. You want to run towards her. Your father tells you that's not your mother, and then she walks away from you. That is a very understandable reaction to have. Well, okay, then I'm going to keep my distance, right? Mm-hmm. I totally got it. And the follow-up, just to skip ahead a bit, the follow-up to that where, her and Lois have that talk.
Yes.
And they do connect.
Mm-hmm.
The power behind that scene and that dialogue between the two. That is the strength of this show overall to me. Look, it's got all the Superman trappings you want, all the visuals, which we'll talk about in a second. But it's the family dynamic, the emotional heartbeat of the show that really drives it forward, in my opinion. So I really got to call out that scene because it was a standout of the show.
No, I would agree, and I like that is a very complicated set of emotions that Lois talks about, that she didn't feel anything for Natalie. She had just met this girl, but at the same time, she's like, I didn't do anything to help this girl, and I probably traumatized her.
Mm.
And so, yeah, that's a very complicated event that happened there at the very end of season 1, and they're dealing with the aftermath here, and so far doing so very well.
Right. Now,
go ahead.
No, go ahead. You're probably going in the same direction I was going to go.
Yeah. Okay. Speaking of Natalie and John, the father-daughter duo, they have moved to Metropolis. And the plan, of course, is for Natalie to enroll in school and to try to assimilate. Right. However, she has not adjusted well, and I believe this is Earth Prime, right? It's Earth Prime that they're on. Yeah. So it's Earth Prime. They came from, was it Earth 2?
I think so.
Okay. Anyway, not their Earth, and so
I have enough problem trying to keep my multiverse Earths. Trying to ask me to keep the CW world straight. Right. Impossible.
Well, but the problem is, just like with Lois, Natalie is seeing versions of her friends, and they don't know her because they're not actually the same friends. Imagine how hard that would be if you saw everyone in your life and none of them knew you or reacted to you.
We're all Montreal Canadian fans. That would be terrible. Get me the hell off this earth is what I would say. Blow it up.
Oh boy. So, and we see actually that Natalie, she's in like a state of heightened anxiety throughout this entire episode. Right. She vents to her dad, and she wishes that they had never come there. In fact, she even goes so far as to say, "I wish I had died back on their Earth."
That's a little dark, but
yeah, again, she's not doing well.
It's not an emotion that you can't relate to. I mean, imagine her circumstance, like you were saying. Mm-hmm. You wouldn't be taking it so easy.
Right. Now, eventually, they agree to be in one another's lives. And again, I'm speaking of Natalie and Lois. They kind of come to that, agreement that they're going to try to get to know one another.
Almost like a surrogate parent, if you will.
Yes. Now, the other little subplot we should talk about here is John lets his hormones get the best of him. And
Jonathan Kent, you mean?
Yeah, Jonathan Kent. He and his girlfriend very nearly have happy fun time.
And we're engaging in some super curricular extra activity.
Yes. And they're interrupted by Lois, therefore probably scarring him for life. And Lois is none too happy because Superman, Clark, he had some other thing. I forget exactly what he heard. He heard some emergency and had to leave. Was that the sub, the nuclear sub?
It was a sub, yeah.
Okay, so he runs off because there are some sailors drowning.
Yeah, we'll talk about that scene in a minute. Yeah.
And that was, by the way, I really like the dialogue there, but we'll get back to that. So Lois, again, she's very annoyed at Clark because he left. And even though I was like, well, he didn't really do anything wrong, but she's obviously unnerved by one of her kids at 15 years old almost being sexually active. So
right, yeah. That whole exchange was like, I couldn't stop laughing because I'm like, oh yeah, he's scarred for life. But at the same look, he's 15.
Yeah.
Hormones are raging. I can understand that. I was 15 once too.
Yeah.
Come on. But at the same time, Clark's like, what? He just said they were going to hang out. I didn't hear you. And Clark, being so trusting of humanity, thought that we're going to hang out means we're going to hang out.
Uh-huh.
Like he literally didn't think. And the best part for me was when Lois going into mom mode is like another level of intensity for her.
Yes.
And when Jordan comes home and she's like, how was it? And she's grilling him for every detail. He's like, what? I didn't do it. Like, can I go to my room? And I think Jordan says something to Jonathan after. He's like, what'd you do to mom? She's freaking out. Like, what'd you do? Mom's freaking out. But the even better part was the conversation, the talk that Clark has with his sons about.
Yeah, he had the birds and the bees.
The birds and the bees, yeah, right. Or the polar bears and the Thanagarian snare beast, to quote the John Peters era of Superman movies. But where he's talking about, and his conversation was, I think, spot on, which is that's an adult decision. You guys aren't old enough to make those decisions.
Yes.
But when you are with a woman that you feel that strongly about, treat her with the utmost respect.
Yes.
And then they're like, they ask the uncomfortable question about, when were you and mom? And he's like, it was much older than you guys are now. And then I think one of them says, oh, good, so we don't have to have this talk with mom. And he's like, oh no, you will. But in his head, he's like, thank God, probably something will go wrong and I won't be here because I'll be Superman.
Yeah. So I still want to know. I'm just saying, I still want to know if she got her blouse back in the comics.
Very good question. Yeah.
We'll have to ask Philip Kennedy Johnson next time. So
that was from the first. Well, I can't remember what I did that time when I said it, but
that's in Action Comics, by the way. If you don't know what we're referencing.
Yeah, so. and we reviewed that. Where do we review that again, Donnie? Just in case anybody forgot.
Where or when?
Where on
You can find that information on the DC Comics Chronicles, available right here on YouTube. That's Multiverse Musings, the vidcast. Also available on iTunes and Podbean.
Right. Very well said. So let's talk a little bit about Superman's issues, because he has issues of his own that are not related to his son's potential extracurricular activities.
Yes. So, by the way, I'm just to put a bow on that. If I'm a child of Superman, the day I get married is the day I tell my dad, you can't listen to me anymore.
Yeah. No, that's like you
especially
gotta
on my honeymoon.
like you know what you do? You present him with noise canceling headphones.
Exactly. So
They say, put these on at this time of the night. And
yeah, exactly. The last thing you want, can you
because
imagine?
that could get creepy. Can you imagine?
Exactly. That's exactly where my mind went. I'm like, and the thing is, if I were Superman's child, I would never try to pull anything either, because he can listen to
Especially
you at
not
any
in their,
time.
especially
Yeah,
not in their house.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
it's like, what are you gonna get away with? You know, like come on. You can see
Well,
through walls.
it's see through, and he
The
can hear.
rooms are lined with lead. And he can't.
He can hear anything. I mean, I believe in one time he said something in the comics like he could, if he wanted to hear like a fly on the other side of the world, he could.
Yeah.
So, when he doesn't hear things, it's because, somebody has taken some direct action to block his super hearing, or because he's blocking it out himself. So,
True, yeah.
anyway, you talk about Superman's issues. I really like, that was actually my favorite piece of dialogue, was after saving the North Korean sub.
Which was beautiful, which looked fantastic.
Oh, Bob, that looked amazing.
How the hell is this a TV show, Donnie? I
Yeah.
still don't understand it.
It looked, the CGI on this show, the various effects look better than some movies. I mean, it's just amazing what they've done.
Absolutely, absolutely.
But he makes the point of that he's not a tool of America. He's an American and he loves his country. But and this was actually addressed years and years ago. There was a controversial storyline written by David Goyer, I believe it was, when he renounced his American citizenship.
Yeah.
Now, I don't think they needed to go that far, but he made kind of the point here of saying, look, I made a commitment to the world, and I'm always going to do the right thing, even if that's not the American thing.
Right. Right. Because the new head of the, is it the DOD? What is it? The DOD?
Yes, I believe. Yeah.
DOA, whatever the hell the acronym.
No, I believe it's the DOD.
Okay. Anyway, because Sam Lane is retired, so there's a new guy in town, and his whole thing was, but I understand you have to be the hero and rescue them, but couldn't you leave the sub beneath the water? Like, why did you have to bring it back to them? And he wants Superman to commit to only stepping in when it serves America, and that's when Superman gives him that speech. And then later, it's found out that he's using children or young adults from that school that was set up last season. Remember when the kids had exposure to the Black King? And he's outfitted them with the Superman symbol. And there was a great line of Superman. He's like, "That's not yours to give away."
Mm-hmm.
And then his retort was, "It's the most recognizable symbol in the world."
Yeah.
So that was a great bit of back and forth.
And we saw that the North Korean soldiers, they instantly knew who that was.
And again, here's why Tyler Hoechlin is so great as the character. For me, he's second on my list of Superman actors. And that is because, Clark is going through a lot at home. Lois is having trouble adjusting to the Natalie situation.
Mm-hmm.
That's causing friction for him.
Right.
His boys both want to turn on some Marvin Gaye sexual healing and go haywire. So he's got that issue going on. All the while, he can save that submarine, and it's the simple gesture of waving his hand, giving a little smile, to make those
the soldiers or
the people in danger in the sub.
Yes.
Feel like, don't worry, everything's going to be okay. For those few minutes, he puts aside his own issues to put on the public face of, don't worry, I'm here, everything's going to be okay. That to me is something that Superman should do.
And that for anyone who objects to his point of view, that's a routine assertion by Superman, as well as really the Justice League in the comics, is that they don't intervene in geopolitical
Right. It's true,
affairs.
yeah. No, but I'm talking about like he makes sure to put on that public face of everything's going to be okay. So whatever he's going through, he puts that on the back burner for the time being.
Oh yes, he can compartmentalize himself.
Yeah. When he's Superman, he has to project that confidence, that calmness, and he does it very, very. He's very charismatic and effective at doing that, and that's one of the reasons I love his take on Clark and Superman. And I also loved when this was at the beginning before he went off to the sub, where he's trying to tell Jonathan, hold off on the football. You just recovered from having fractured or broken your arm.
Right.
Hold off a little bit. And he's like, yeah, no, but I'm fine. And then his girlfriend tells him basically the same thing. And he's like, all right, maybe I'll wait. And all you see is Clark behind. He's like, I just said that. Damn it, what the hell?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, I couldn't stop laughing. I'm telling you, seeing Clark and Lois as parents has been a gift to the Superman mythos.
Oh, I love it.
In both the comics and in live action.
Right.
It's fantastic.
Yeah.
Um,
And in fact, again, we talk about that here. We're seeing a contrast in the comics, which, by the way, if you want to watch the DC Comics Chronicles right here on YouTube, we're talking about the difference in kind of perspective between Superman and John. John is a much more he wants to be a socially active Superman, whereas, Superman proper, Kal-El.
So in the comics, he's socially active. In the TV show, he's sexually active. Anyway. No, yeah, it's a fascinating dynamic that they've added to the mythos, which is great.
Yes.
We've got to talk about the end because throughout the episodes, Smallville's been feeling these kind of Quake type events.
Well, one thing we should talk about before the end is that John and Natalie decide to come back to Smallville.
Yes.
And Lois actually invites them to stay with the Kents.
Yeah.
Which you would expect. Superman has always been a welcoming person.
Right.
And he knows the struggles of being somebody who's out of place.
Yeah.
So of course he invites them to stay with them.
Absolutely. Yeah. And
I'm looking forward to those interactions.
I liked seeing the not really, but kind of sort of brotherly sister kind of start of the formation of the relationship between John and Jordan with Natalie. I like that. So it's going to be fun to watch play out. But so Smallville,
yes,
has been experiencing these Quake type events. Superman, obviously was there and helped doing the rescue efforts. But under the, what was it, like a landmine? Like when he goes deep under, he sees those kids, those teenagers with the Superman outfit, like the Superman, jacket on. It was like a Superman, and I thought it was them punching. I thought it was them causing all the chaos. Yeah. In their botched rescue or sort of rescue attempt, but it wasn't. We actually, as Clark is going back into his house, he stops and listens, and you could tell he hears something really, really faint. And then the camera takes us beneath, and as we're tracking with the camera, we're seeing the cracking of the ground,
of the Earth's crust underneath here,
and the thundering effect, and it goes deep down, and then it ends with a fist punching through the ground and through the Earth's core, and we know who it is.
Yep,
it's been confirmed by Todd Helbing, the showrunner. It's none other than Doomsday.
Exactly. Which has never been a good thing for Superman when Doomsday shows up.
This is true. I'm very curious to see where they're going to go with this, Donnie. And before we do our final grade, I will say this. In the interview that Todd Helbing gave, he talked a lot about what they try to do is they take a concept from the comics and alter it to fit the needs of the show. And they did that in season 1 with, Morgan Edge, and who ended up being Talro and all that jazz, and the Eradicator. So, they took the Eradicator concept. With them saying they take the concept and do something different, I'm wondering if that means we're not going to see Superman die.
Honestly, I hope not, because we've seen that adapted so many times, and recently too. Batman versus Superman, the Death of Superman animated series.
Yeah.
We don't need to see that again.
Right. Right. So
he even died back in the Super Friends cartoon.
That's true. Let him live. Damn it. No, but
that was before Doomsday too. They were killing him back even before Doomsday.
But I wonder if they're gonna have Doomsday kill somebody close to Superman, but not
or debilitate him in such a way, like put him in a coma or something, where they don't know if he's gonna wake up. Yeah.
See, I have two theories, because in the interview he also said that the villain in the first half of season 2, which is Doomsday, will lead to the villain of season 2 or the second half.
Okay.
So I've got two theories. I think somebody close to Clark is going to die, but it's not going to be Superman. It's not actually him. I think one of the boys is gonna meet their end.
Oh wow, that would be shocking. Wow. Yeah.
And I have a feeling it might be Jordan.
Wow.
I think my theory is Jordan will end up dying. And in the anger and frustration, that's when Jonathan's powers emerge. In the heartbreak. So that's one thing. In terms of the first villain begetting the second, what if the events of what happens with Doomsday somehow lead the head of the general, the head of the DOD, to become a version of Cyborg Superman as a result of the Doomsday battle?
Yeah, it could be.
Just some thoughts that I had.
I mean, I don't, other than Bertrand, his creator, which we don't even know if Bertrand exists in this universe. Yeah. I can't think of anybody directly connected to like Doomsday's origin.
Yeah.
I mean, Lex obviously, he had a hand in breaking him out, but yeah. So
those are just some thoughts I had that could very well, most likely, be wrong. They could also be right. Who knows? We'll wait and see. But just some thoughts that I had. But it's going to be interesting to see what they do with Doomsday, and also what he looks like, because I have a good feeling that he's going to be adapted pretty spot on.
Well, the arm that we saw, and the effect was pretty amazing.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So I'm looking forward to it. What a start to the season, Donnie. I love this show.
I'm so glad to have the show back.
It's my favorite DC show. And listen, to me, and this is my opinion, people can argue, people can disagree, I really don't care. This show, Superman and Lois, has given us the best live action Superman content since 1980.
Wow, okay.
So,
and I like it, even though I'm a Henry Cavill fan, but
yeah.
I'm also accepting of the fact that if he doesn't come back, the world's not going to end.
But are you going to hashtag 45,000 times, Don? Come on.
52,000 times, of course.
Okay,
the new 50, yeah. Now, again, sometimes, things happen and people move on,
Well, sane people move on. So congratulations, Donnie, you're sane. But
not everyone would agree.
We'll have to talk to Harley Quinn about that, but we'll see. I'll get her on the line since her portrayal is one of my multiverse wives. But oh, by the way, I should say I can't go an episode without doing it. As you know, Donnie, the multiverse wives is being put on a proverbial paper in the form of a Twitter thread.
Yes, I saw.
Much to the delight of Nico Caruso. And Peter Vera has had some fun with my list. But in honor of the premiere of Superman and Lois, I officially put down Lois's portrayal, Bitsy Tulloch, on the list. And just so everybody knows, And what we'll do once the full list has been revealed on Twitter, we'll do an episode where I reveal the full list. But for the purposes of celebrating Superman and Lois' return, I will reveal on the air, sort of, that Bitsy Tulloch is Multiverse wife of Earth 23.
All right. Yeah.
So
yeah. Earth
how
23.
I
That's
arrived at 23. I have no damn idea.
That's where Calvin Ellis is from, right?
No, that's 33.
I thought it was 23. Could
Shows
be
how you're up on your multiverse knowledge, Donnie.
yeah.
I think way too much about the multiverse. That's what it is. Anyway, so Superman and Lois was great. Should we rate this thing?
Yes, go ahead. You first, sir.
All right, put me on the spot. I give it. Look, I thought this was a fantastic premiere. I love just about every aspect of it. I found nothing to nitpick or be bothered by. So it's an absolute A+ for me.
I'm going to say the same thing. I think they started off with a bang. Even the teenager stuff, I think it wasn't so overdone that I felt like they were trying to carry the show with that. It was, they had a really good blend of everything. So he's from Earth 23, Calvin Ellis.
Okay, I'm
I was right.
Well, listen, somebody else is taking up residence on Earth 23 now, Calvin. So stay away from my wife. That's all I say. How about that?
Question me, will you?
All right, let's fight. But just to be sure, is your mother's name Martha?
Why'd you say that name?
But,
I'll give you the Grodd mind powers.
Superman and Lois was great. It's off to a great start. Can't wait till next week. And we will be reviewing, of course, the entire season. So stay with us, and we'll have plenty more Superman content to come. And in the meantime, before the next episode, if you want to talk to us about Superman and Lois, you can do that on social media. Donnie, where can they find you?
You can find me on Twitter as the Emerald Enthusiast. Let's talk comics. Let's talk collectibles. Let's talk Superman on TV. Let's talk Green Lantern.
Awesome. You can find me on Twitter at Adam_LeafsFan. The podcast network, the Vidcast network, has its own Twitter profile at MMNPDC. We also have a Facebook page, which is listed in the description below. Click the link. I will add you, and we can continue the conversation there. But remember, Superman and Lois are forever. From the first lecture Lois gives to one of her sons about being sexually active to the last. So long, everybody.
So long, everyone.